Okay, cool. Um, yeah. You know what? I've set up this whole camera setup, and I can already tell this feels far too formal for a chat that is not going to be that formal. So bear with. I mean, you're not going to have to bear with. Hang on. Gonna go back to a setup similar to last week's because that felt a bit more close and personal, and I guess this video is going to be nothing if not those things. Before I jump into saying any of this, I do want to say that although I've lived in the UK pretty much my whole life, I am an American citizen. Most of the stuff I'm about to say is coming from that sort of place. I've written notes as usual, but I think a lot of this stuff isn't really going to be too concise, and I hope that's okay. I think like a lot of people, just all over the world, I'm kind of going through spouts of, I think rage would be too angsty a word to use, but I guess it's the closest thing I can find, followed by lulls of like, you know, depressed composure and evaluation. I figure the internet has, well, enough rage at the moment, so these are some of the thoughts from one of those lulls. I'm far more upset than this video would have you believe, but this is the culmination of every, you know, reserved bone in my body. So yeah, cool. I fell asleep in the early hours of the morning before it had been officially called, but when it became pretty clear that, you know, it would have taken a miracle to change things, and if we hadn't had one yet, it wasn't going to happen. When there was no more hope, I guess, and that's really how it felt. This year has been kind of a kick in the teeth for a lot of people, especially people, you know, who are trying to foster a sort of sense of social unity, I guess. That sounds really pretentious, but I think you know what I mean. What upsets me isn't that he won. What's upsetting is that we live in a world in which the conditions for a victory for a person such as that do exist. Enough of the world, enough of us wanted this to happen, and now we all have to live with the consequence of letting things get this bad. My most immediate concern lies with the, you know, racial, the ethnic minorities, people of different religions in the US, of course the LGBT community. The idea that the country you live in now feels like even less of a safe place. I shouldn't be seeing lists on my timeline of cities in which the KKK is active. We need to make sure that communities online and offline remain open and safe. But in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking about the voters themselves, and I think the Electoral College is just as messed up as Britain's election system is. But that doesn't, you know, decrease the percentage of people that voted from, you know, 100% to 2%. It was a lot of people. In an old video, I talk about one of my favorite quotes: "Each man's death diminishes me, for I am a part of mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee." And I've practiced that a lot, before you ask. It feels like it bears a lot of relevance here. I don't think all Trump voters are racists or homophobic or sexist. I think that they were scared and desperate, and they turned to someone who said that he would help. What ultimately scares me most is that I'm trying to foster that sense of unity in myself, that sense of understanding, while it becomes, you know, more and more clear that so much of the world holds so many different views to me on so many moral levels, I guess. And it takes, you know, a devastating event like this to make me see just how large that percentage is. Because I thought that we wouldn't let this slide. I thought that our own desperation wouldn't be put, you know, above the safety and well-being of others. We can talk about policy all we like, but when you fight a political battle on ideology, as most political battles are fought, you win it on ideology. And when your ideology is one that promotes divisiveness and nationalism and you know, and xenophobic racist practices, that's the message that you send to the world. And it's terrifying to see that people are willing to disregard that for faint promises. I understand the decision, you know, to be selfish, to pretend like the other side doesn't really have it that bad, but I never thought I'd see that sort of, that willingness to be ignorant for the sake of a promised prosperity. And I would argue a weak promise. I never thought I'd see so many people be willing to do that. We can treat the ideological opposition like they're some distant threat, but they're not. They are our peers, and I guess they're not the enemy. This doesn't work if we isolate ourselves from people who don't agree with us. I don't know if I know how to welcome them just yet, but I know that going on like this isn't gonna help. So if you voted Trump, I don't hate you. It would be extremely disingenuous of me to say that I can forgive you yet, but I'm reminding myself that I know what it's like to feel dissatisfied with the state of the world. If I was living in the States again, I'd probably be in a very different position. Rallies and peaceful protests are just as much a part of democracy as the elections that cause them to happen. But the greater problem, you know, the greater disconnect between people, I think that doesn't get fixed until we start to, you know, empathize with people we don't agree with. And I mean that for both sides. You know, I really mean that for both sides. It took me a lot of thoughts to get to this place, and of course the internet was a big help, so thank you. And I guess I have a long way to go, as do the rest of us. I watched a lot of different election videos. They're kind of all I've been watching for the past 48 hours. So I'll link a bunch of them in the description, and hopefully that helps a few of you. For now, I am Sam. That was some stuff. I'm sorry if this didn't go really anywhere. I will see you next time. Okay, bye.